The sun had just set, leaving the sky ablaze with fiery red light, casting its last rays upon an unimaginable scene. A barren land where scorching winds and freezing snow perpetually collide had become the battleground for a life-or-death confrontation between two mighty creatures. The story began on a strange day when the lion, lord of the savannah, decided to attack the icy lands of the polar bear, where snowstorms blanketed the sky. The polar bear, master of the cold, sensed the presence of its adversary the moment the lion appeared. But this was no ordinary battle. It was a fight for survival. The scorching winds howled as they surged forward, threatening to incinerate anything in its path. But the polar bear stood firm, its eyes as cold as the blizzards that birthed it. "You may control the wind, but I am the one who commands the cold," the polar bear roared, its voice echoing from the deepest reaches of the frozen wilderness. At that very moment, the lion lunged, with waves of searing heat exploding from its massive body, flames roaring and enveloping the entire battlefield. Each swipe of its giant paw was like a shockwave of heat, creating a firestorm that burned through the cold air. But the polar bear was unfazed. It concentrated, its eyes glimmering like a beacon. A layer of ice spread beneath its feet, forming sturdy shields, hard as stone, pushing back each fiery assault. Both animals ramped up their powers. The lion, with the force of nature coursing through it, swept across the sky with massive fiery blasts. The polar bear countered with sharp blocks of ice, towering like icebergs, crashing into the lion with explosive force. The lion's claws, sharp as knives, swiped at the ice, but the polar bear's endurance and resilience held firm, withstanding the brutal strikes. This battle was not just one of brute strength, but one of wits. The lion, with its agility and warrior spirit, exploited every gap in the battlefield, charging with the speed of a gusting wind, its claws streaking the air like cutting beams. But the polar bear, with its mastery over the cold, quickly erected an impenetrable wall of ice around itself, blocking every blow. The battle intensified, and the sky seemed to tremble with each strike. The lion, enraged by the polar bear's resilience, roared and unleashed a hurricane of fire, a whirlwind of heat swirling in all directions. The polar bear seized the opportunity, stretching out its paw, launching massive icebergs into the sky, aimed directly at the lion. The collision of fire and ice created a cataclysmic explosion. Fiery gusts mixed with shards of ice, sending shockwaves that rattled the earth. The battle was not just a clash of forces, but a battle of ideologies, a relentless struggle between the power of flame and the invincibility of ice. Suddenly, after a violent collision, the lion stumbled, crashing into a massive chunk of ice, sending it skidding across the ground. Blood dripped from the lion's side, staining the snow, mingling with the cold frost. Yet the lion would not give up. It stood, blood boiling, its fiery spirit unyielding, as if an eternal flame was burning within it. "I will never surrender. This is only the beginning," the lion roared, rising up, unleashing one final surge of power that shook the entire land. But in that moment, the polar bear recognized a weakness, a decisive move. It lowered itself, conjuring a unique ice sheet, transparent and razor sharp, charging straight for the lion. There was no time to dodge, and the lion could only watch as death drew near. In a brief moment of stillness before the final strike, a thunderous roar echoed across the battlefield. But it wasn't from either beast. It was the very essence of the conflict, the connection between life and death, between fire and ice. Everything seemed to culminate in this one moment where neither side could win completely. The final scene was an explosion, not from one of them, but from the battle itself, where no one could claim absolute victory. Only understanding and mutual respect could preserve life in this world.